Hello, my name's Ruth Shushan, and I'm going to tell you a modern story that was created by the author Grania Rowland, and it's called A Plate at Howth, and it's about the pirate queen, Grace O'Malley, and another name for Grace is Granuaile. So when I say Granuaile, that's the pirate queen. Granuaile knocked at the door of the castle. It was noon, and she and her men were hungry. They had sailed from London and were low on supplies. The great wooden door opened quickly. A servant frowned as she looked at Granuaile. Who are these country bumpkins? She wondered. What do you want? The servant asked rudely. We ask hospitality, replied Granuaile. We are hungry. Well, said the servant girl, you may not come in now. My master is at dinner. He left orders that he is not to be bothered. You can go to the servants' entrance and see if there are leftovers. Or you can leave. You can tell your master that Granuaile will not forget this. And down the granite-lined walk stormed Granuaile, followed by her men. As they neared the gate, a young man approached. Hello, said the man. Were you with my father? Why did you not stay for dinner? I am Granuaile. Your father could not be bothered to give hospitality to strangers, replied Granuaile. But I will offer you the hospitality of my ship. With that, Granuaile and her men escorted the youth to her ship. She set sail for her island home off the coast of Galway. Granuaile treated the young man with respect. She gave him the most beautiful clothing and gave him the best of her food. She furnished the best rooms in her castle for him so he would be comfortable. She took him on hunting and fishing trips. She treated him as she did her own son. But she would not let him return to Dublin. In due time, Granuaile received a note from the boy's father. He offered to pay her a huge ransom. He wanted his son back. But Granuaile would not let the boy go. She wanted the father to come visit her in person. After a long trip, the Lord of Howth arrived at Granuaile's castle. He came with big bags of gold. Granuaile ordered her men to take the gold back to Howth Castle, 300 miles away. The father was worried. What did this mad woman want? He wondered. He began to beg Granuaile for his son's safety. Granuaile was getting tired of the father's begging. She called for the man's son. He soon appeared before Granuaile and his father. Son, are you all right? The father asked anxiously, peering at his son. Has this woman hurt you? If she has, I swear I'll... Father, interrupted the boy. Do I look like I've been hurt? I have never been so well treated in my life. Granuaile has given me the best of everything. She gave me the first portion of food every time, even before she herself ate. And she is the chieftainess of all this area. She has ordered her men to be at my beck and call. She has offered me only kindness. And I was a stranger to her the day we first met. But you, father, you treated her with disrespect, the greatest disrespect. You told the servant that you could not be bothered at your dinner. Is this hospitality? The boy's father was ashamed. He hung his head for a moment and then looked Granuaile straight in the eye. He stood tall and he began to speak. My lady, he began, I must offer you an apology. I was very rude to you. Now I see how well you have treated my son, and I am ashamed. You do not want ransom for my son. What is it that you do want? Why did you take my son if not for ransom? Why did you insist that I come to see you here? I do not understand. Granuaile smiled. I see that you are not a bad man, but you were very rude. Do you not know that the old law of Ireland demands that anyone in need must be helped? All my men and I needed was a bit of dinner. Now my ransom is this. From now on, an extra plate must be set at your table for every meal. If ever a stranger comes to your door, you must ask him or her in and give them a meal. It must be a real meal, not leftovers from the servant's table. You must treat all strangers with respect. And that is what is required for the release of your son. The father and son returned to Dublin, and from that day on, an extra plate was set at the table at Howth Castle. If you go to Dublin today, in Ireland, you will still find an extra plate set on the table for strangers. This story by Grania Rowland was completely original, made up by a woman who really admired Granuaile, or the pirate queen, Grace O'Malley. Grania was born in the United States, but she found out that she was Irish, and she couldn't get enough of Irish culture. She was listening to the Clancy brothers on records, and she studied everything about Ireland that she could get her hands on. Finally, in 1980, her dream was fulfilled, and she spent 2 whole months in Ireland and completely fell in love with it. She also cried all the way back to the United States. Back in the United States, in Columbus, Ohio, she became a teacher for over 21 years. She taught on 2 First Nations reservations and is nearly as intrigued with the Navajo and Pueblo cultures as she is with the Irish culture. A few years ago, she also learned that she's part Cherokee. As she puts it, there are many similarities between the First Nations cultures and the Irish, such as the oral storytelling tradition and the emphasis on family. Since 1994, Grania has written Irish folk tales for children and adults, as well as stories of famous Irish people. Her favorite Irish person is Granuaile, Grace O'Malley, for whom the author has renamed herself Grania. If you would like to contact her, Grania would be delighted to hear from you. Her email address is Grania, Grainne, Rowland, ROWLAND, @hotmail.com. Bye-bye. Cheerio.